Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing better and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to Valorant News. Gekko is officially in Valorant with the latest patch update, but loads of reaction to his addition to the game. Ardiis believes he is way too overpowered and strong right now and will be definitely nerfed in the future and will be used by every pro that they can on every single map that they play going forwards. But cNed from NRG has a different perspective on how this is going to affect the competitive scene, saying it's actually really frustrating they won't be able to practice basically anyone because of the timings as to when Gekko is actually added into the competitive rotation. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Plenty to dive into. Firstly, on the game changer side, actually, Disguised Toast wants to burn through some more money and is looking for the best available unsigned Game Changers Valorant player, thinking of starting a team. We saw FaZe Clan yesterday confirm their new Game Changers roster, so cool to see that some organizations are still invested here because there's been a bit of, a lot of organizations pulled out last year. Cloud9, right, their team is gone, and so, arguably because they're basically just completely run out of money. Now, the other side of the story here is the VCT Americas format that was finally confirmed yesterday. So the way this worked is there's 10 teams, of course, in the Americas. 6 of them, the top 6 after the single round robin format, will advance to a 6-team double elimination bracket. The season will run from April the 1st through to May the 22nd, playoffs from May the 23rd to May the 28th, and the top 3 teams of those 6 of those 10 that get through there to the playoffs and get to top 3 will qualify to Masters in Tokyo. So of course it's not top 4 as it would have been if Louder won the event, but it's the top 3 teams qualify, and of course this makes a fair bit of sense based on what we currently know. Of course 100T, Cloud9, EG, Furia, Crew, Leviathan, Loud, MIBR, NRG and Sentinels all currently 0-0, and the matches look like this. So the first set of games is coming up on April the 1st, and we'll see why that's relevant here in a second. There's 5 games over the first 3 days, and that's pretty much how they do it for the next several weeks. So it starts with Sentinels, 100 Thieves, and Crew versus Furia. So 2 bangers to start out with, but about 3 weeks until this happens. And when this happens, Gekko is in the game, right? Loud MIBO as well as a pretty good one for day 2 of all the schedule. And this goes on for several weeks until they basically play through in the entire group against each other, and then the playoffs begin soon after that. Also, the tickets are already sold out for a couple of these days. Day 1, the tickets are already sold out, general admission here, so that's gone, I think, for day 5 as well. So if you guys want to attend, definitely get in quick because some of these tickets are selling out very fast indeed for the venue, I think in Los Angeles, where all this is being hosted. The other part of the puzzle here is on the challenges side, confirmation of how this works. So 12 teams, of course, in NA challenges, the top 4 per group, so 8 teams get to go to the playoffs, and then the top 2 teams from those playoffs qualify for Ascension at the end of the year. Now, I thought there was actually going to be 8 teams at this Ascension tournament, with 2 from North America, 2 from Brazil, 2 from LATAM North, 2 from LATAM South. But actually, which I think makes more sense, it's 1 from LATAM North, 1 from LATAM South. So there's 6 teams at the Ascension qualification tournament at the end of the year, 2 from NA, 2 from Brazil, 2 from LATAM, and then one of those teams, whatever's the best, will win and qualify up to join the Pro League going forwards from 2024. Quick comment as well on Cloud9 here. Confirmation yesterday from VALORANT esports that the lock-in bundle raised more than $10 million for the VCT team. So let's say it is 10 million around about that. Out of those 30 teams, we're talking about 300k per team. And what the teams probably should do, which would be nice of them to do, is take that 300k, split it 50-50. They take half, they give half to the players. The players get like 30k each. That would be obviously a good payday for the boys. But that might not be what some organizations do. And some are, of course, joking about, oh, 300k to Cloud9. Maybe that's going to fix their role issues that apparently they're having, right? And of course, not really role issues that cause their team to completely implode, and maybe that 300k will go to some good use to actually be able to sign some sort of player, or maybe pay Marv what he wants to get paid, or whatever, or just finance all the debt that they probably have right now and they're struggling to deal with. Cloud9, though, is still paying for their Twitter people because they say these scrims are impossible. They were scrimming some team last night with apparently only 3 players. Of course, they're kind of just joking around. They've been trialing some players. Rooney is their new IGL. They trialed some other options, even that Logan player, right, we mentioned yesterday, in terms of potentially a new duelist for them. So it's an absolute disaster class from Cloud9. How the mighty fall. Marv also joking around here. I just woke up on the way. So, we believe that Marv, if he's going to go anywhere, it's going to be to Sentinels on their sub bench after the 6 situation that we described in quite some detail in yesterday's video. Even Vanity kind of, addresses the rumors here. Guys, I'll stop the rumors now. I'm not dating Jennifer Aniston, so unfortunately no comment as yet on the Cloud9 situation. However, big present discussion around Gekko. So Gekko is added into the game last night. Everyone's been playing him, insta-locking him and all this type of stuff, just to see, is he any good? How strong is he? Usually the agents they add into the game are rather powerful upon release so that people actually use them, which I guess makes sense. Harbor, when it was added in, people thought, okay, is he any good? He turns out he's actually more viable, I think, than people thought initially. And look, Gekko's an interesting agent. Most of his abilities aren't particularly strong. The wingman that can plant the bomb is particularly powerful in certain situations. You still have to get control of the site where you can't just send him in to plant the spike when they've got full control of the site. They're just going to take him down. So it doesn't, it only kind of works when you're taking the site, you've kind of taken the site, and you're going to use him to plant the spike, and then you can still have your weapon up to defend your teammates and stuff. Obviously, defusing it's also quite valuable also. Now, I think it really comes into his own in 1v1s, right? The fact that if you're in a 1v1 to plant the spike without needing to, put your gun down, and to defuse the spike without needing to put your gun down is very powerful in 1 versus 1 situations. The rest of his kit isn't incredibly strong, like the flash he's got and the other things that he does. It's nothing crazy, I don't think, but I think what is very powerful about Gekko is that you can keep picking up the util again and again and again. I think some would say there's got to be some sort of limit on how many times you can pick up the utility within a round, because the fact that you can use it, pick it up again and reuse it is maybe a little bit too strong. That's certainly what Ardiis thinks here. We'll see in a second. But Chet is frustrated not about the actual character itself necessarily, but the timing of when it's going to be allowed to be used. So the NA franchise league, he thought it started March the 26th. Of course, it actually starts April 1st, as we saw just a couple of seconds ago. And he's like, who am I supposed to practice? Because Gekko is going to be played in the very first NA franchise matches, right? So NRG's first game, whoever they play, it's going to be played with Gekko allowed in the rule set, and therefore, some teams may pick it, and it probably will have quite a significant impact on the way the game is played if Gekko is as powerful as we believe that he might well be, and certainly as powerful as Ardiis believes he will be. However, currently a lot of the pro teams, they don't want to play each other, right? So let's say you're an NA franchise team, you're NRG. What are your potential partners, right? You can play Sentinels, you can play 100 Thieves, you can play EG, you can play Cloud9. That is effectively it for your practice, but do you want to play any of those teams in practice, given the fact that you play them anyway in the matches, and you don't want to give anything away in terms of what you're planning? You want to practice against the tier 2 teams, the challengers teams. However, the issue there is that Gekko is not allowed into their rule set for quite some time. Initially, he thought that it was March the 23rd, which would mean for the next few weeks, for the next couple of weeks, the challenger teams will still be playing without Gekko, and therefore NRG and other pro teams, other franchise teams, won't be able to practice against them in the same way. And now the challengers are not even allowed to use Gekko until April the 18th. So we're talking, until the entire challengers, I guess, first split is over. That's when Gekko comes in. But it means for the entire period for the next couple of months, the challengers teams won't be practicing with Gekko, and therefore what are the pro teams meant to do in terms of their practice regime? It's messing a lot of people up right now, and I think you can understand the frustrations here, even as apparently it's now April the 18th here, as Moist Tannic says, but so even worse for the VCT teams. Don't know what to do, says Chet, in terms of who they can practice against, because who wants to play with Gekko if they're not allowed to use him in their matches for quite some time. Also wanted to mention here Ardiis' thoughts on this agent in general. I thought this is a hilarious clip here, right? He has the chamber on and he thinks, oh yeah, this is perfect, I'll hop out the window, kill the planter and teleport back up, and he drops down and it's wingman planted the spike, and therefore he shoots him once, he doesn't even die, and then he teleports back up, and he's like absolutely mind blown about that one and gets shot through the smoke anyway.
Back to me. Enemy spotted A. You're
It's
not
too
ready.
late.
Dizzy's up. Try me. Not today. There's my buddy.
Pikachu, little bro, go. This is your job. Little bro, keep going, little bro. Don't stop, little bro.
Spike planet. You should run away. Dizzy has charge.
Oh no, one more there. Little bro's cooking, bro. Little bro is cooking there. This is agent, but listen, this agent is getting there. There is zero chance. Listen, there is zero chance this guy does not get nerfed. There is zero chance. This guy is gonna get picked on every map in pro play, 100%.
Bro.
So what are you guys' thoughts on Gekko? Is he way too strong? Is he way too overpowered? Or like, or do you think that he's pretty well balanced, but just certain things might need to be changed? Ardiis says, like, outright he's got to be fully nerfed. I thought this is a hilarious clip as well, actually, where, you know, if you try and plant the spike up here for Gekko, like, then Wingman will try and get there and will run around the entire map and do an absolute marathon to get to this part of the map, which is pretty upsetting, actually. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know what you guys think about this. It's pretty wild, this new agent. I feel like he's pretty strong, but again, I always feel like people have the tendency to over-exaggerate how good the new agents are when they arrive into the game, whereas the reality is, he might not actually be that strong, but I think on a good couple of maps, we're going to see Gekko be utilized, and it does affect the way the pro players can actually practice going forwards as well. And even as Max Cap says here, this is of course Puris, mentions that I think we're already seeing a huge flaw in the schedule, because in 2 months' time, when the first part of the franchise league ends, that's when teams will qualify for Masters, and therefore, based on points from that, one of those teams at least, I think, will already have Champions qualification at that point, but the meta is changing substantially, and, you know, just the way the timing works on adding all these new agents to the game just changes up the meta to such an extent that, you know, there's no guarantee, as he says, that we get the best competition come Champion. So definitely an interesting observation on the way the format kind of gets messed up when they have these new agents in, and it's always a tricky one to figure out when to do it. And also, just to note that Loud, after the lock-in, have become the second highest earning Valorant organization, but Sentinels are still #1. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.